Gentlemen, let's have a frank conversation. If you are over 50 and still wearing a baseball cap with a team logo, you do not look young. You look like a confused tourist. It is a tragedy of silhouette. As we age, the face loses definition. The jawline softens. The hair thins. You do not need a flat piece of cotton clinging to your skull. You need architecture. You need a frame. Enter the Baker Boy cap. Unlike the standard flat cap, which can look severe, the 8-panel Baker Boy offers critical volume. It adds height, balances a mature face, and hides hair loss with absolute dignity. It is the bridge between the working-class hero and the landed gentry. Today, we learn how to wear the crown of the countryside without looking like a Peaky Blinders cosplayer. Welcome to the new standard. Chapter 1. The Distinction. To the untrained eye, all tweed caps look the same. They are thrown into a generic bucket labeled grandpa hats. This is a sartorial error of the highest order. To master this aesthetic, we must first distinguish between the two dominant species in the ecosystem, the standard flat cap, or ivy cap, and our protagonist, the Baker Boy. The standard flat cap is constructed from a single piece of fabric, or sometimes 3 sewn panels, that runs from the back of the head all the way to the brim. It is aerodynamic. It is sleek. It hugs the skull tightly. While it has its place, perhaps in a convertible Jaguar E-Type with the top down, it presents a specific problem for the mature man. Because it traces the exact shape of your skull, it offers no architectural correction. If your face has thinned with age, or if your cheeks have hollowed, the flat cap emphasizes this narrowness. It can make the head appear disproportionately small, especially when worn with a heavy winter coat. It is severe, linear, and unforgiving. Enter the Baker Boy. Also known as the Newsboy, the Gatsby, or the 8-piece. Its construction is fundamentally different. It is formed by 8 triangular panels of tweed that meet at a central button on the crown. This octagonal structure creates something the flat cap lacks: volume. The Baker Boy does not hug the skull, it sits atop it. It balloons outwards slightly before tucking back into the brim. This is not a defect, it is the secret weapon. This extra volume creates a halo effect around the upper head. For a man over 50, this is transformative. It creates a visual counterbalance to the jawline. It adds vertical height, making you appear taller. It creates a shadow line over the eyes that adds depth and mystery to the face. Think of it in architectural terms. The flat cap is a modern, flat roof, functional, streamlined, but cold. The Baker Boy is a vaulted ceiling. It has loft, character, and grandeur. Furthermore, the Baker Boy carries a different narrative weight. The flat cap is strictly utilitarian. It is the hat of the driver or the tradesman. The Baker Boy, with its fuller body, suggests something more artistic, more romantic. It is the hat of the writer, the architect, the landowner surveying his fields. It has a softness to its silhouette that breaks up the rigid straight lines of a suit or a heavy jacket. The flat cap follows the skull. The Baker Boy crowns it. And at this stage in your life, you do not need to simply cover your head. You need to crown it. Chapter 2. The Fabric. The Nobility of Tweed. If structure is the skeleton of the baker boy, then fabric is its soul. And here we must establish a rigid boundary. In the world of quiet luxury, shiny synthetic fabrics are not merely a mistake, they are an insult. Walk into a fast fashion retailer and you will find caps made of polyester blends. They shine under artificial light. They look plastic. They sit on the head like a cheap costume. For a man over 50, this is disastrous. Why? Because shiny fabrics reflect light. They highlight every imperfection in your skin tone. They emphasize redness, and they draw attention to the artifice of the garment. They scream mass production. The gentleman chooses the opposite. He chooses matte. He chooses texture that absorbs light rather than reflecting it. He chooses tweed. Tweed is not just a fabric, it is a geography. It is born from the wind-swept isles of Scotland and the rugged hills of Ireland. It is spun from coarse, virgin wool that has been dyed in the wool, meaning the fibers are dyed before being spun, creating a depth of color that no synthetic print can mimic. We are looking for 3 specific variations. First, Harris tweed. This is the gold standard, legally protected by an act of Parliament. It is rough, hairy, and practically indestructible. It smells faintly of the earth and lanolin. When you wear Harris tweed, you are wearing a piece of history that commands respect. Second, Donegal. Originating from Ireland, this tweed is characterized by its neps, tiny flecks of contrasting color woven into the main yarn. A charcoal cap might have flecks of blue, white, or rust. This adds a subtle, sophisticated visual interest that invites people to look closer. It is complex, just like the man wearing it. Third, herringbone. This is the classic broken twill weave that creates a V-shaped pattern. It is architectural. The pattern guides the eye and adds a layer of geometric order to the softness of the wool. Regarding color, we must reject the severity of flat black. Black is for funerals and security guards. Instead, embrace the palette of the landscape. Look for peat brown, moss green, charcoal gray, and heather blue. These are organic tones. They harmonize with the graying hair and the changing skin tone of a mature man. They soften the features rather than hardening them. When you touch the cap, it should feel substantial. It should have grit. It should feel like it can withstand a sudden downpour or a bramble scratch. A pristine, soft cashmere cap is lovely for a dinner party, but a rough tweed baker boy is for the field of life. It signals that you are not precious about your clothes, but you are deeply serious about their quality. This is the nobility of tweed. It gets better with age, just like you. Chapter 3. The Fit. Avoiding the mushroom effect. We have discussed architecture, and we have discussed material, but let us be unequivocal. A bespoke cap made of the rarest Harris tweed is utterly worthless if it does not fit. In the realm of headwear, fit is not just about comfort, it is about proportion. A millimeter of error is the difference between a gentleman and a caricature. The most common calamity we witness is the mushroom effect. This occurs when a man buys a baker boy that is simply too large or too voluminous for his head shape. The crown flops aggressively over the ears. The fabric balloons out so wide that it dwarfs the wearer's neck. You end up looking like a Super Mario character or an oversized toddler in a Victorian period drama. It destroys the verticality we are trying to achieve. The cap should frame the face, not swallow it. Conversely, there is the vice grip. This is the cap chosen by men in denial about their head size. It sits perched precariously on top of the skull, unable to come down properly. It squeezes the temples, leaving an angry red line across the forehead when removed. Visually, it makes the head look like a peanut, emphasizing the fullness of the face below. It looks painful, and frankly, it looks cheap. So, how do we achieve the Goldilocks zone, the zone of perfect engineering? First, abandon the generic sizing of small, medium, large. These are approximations for the masses. A man of distinction knows his head size in centimeters. Take a tailor's tape measure. Place it around the widest part of your head, usually about 1 inch above the eyebrows and just above the ears. Pull it snug, but not tight. That number, 58 centimeters, 60 centimeters, is your identity. Do not round down. If you are between sizes, always round up and add a small strip of cork or foam filler inside the sweatband. It is easier to shrink a hat than to stretch one. The ultimate test, however, is the one-finger rule. When the cap is on your head, you should be able to slide your pinky finger comfortably between the sweatband and your temple. There should be a slight resistance, but no pain. If you can fit 2 fingers, a gust of wind will steal your dignity. If you cannot fit any, you will have a headache by lunch. Visually, the brim should settle comfortably. It should not rest on the ears, it should sit just above them. The fabric of the crown, the 8 panels, should have enough structure to hold its shape, but enough softness to drape slightly to one side. It is a relationship of tension and release. Remember, the cap must feel like an extension of your body, not a foreign object perched upon it. When you move your head, the cap should move with you, instantly and seamlessly. If you have to constantly adjust it, pull it down or push it up, the fit is wrong. And in the world of quiet luxury, if it is not effortless, it is not elegant. Chapter 4. The Sprezzatura. The Art of the Tilt. You have selected the correct architecture. You have invested in the nobility of Harris Tweed. You have measured your head to the millimeter. Now, you face the most critical moment. Placing the cap upon your head. This is where 90% of men fail. They treat the baker boy like a helmet. They pull it down firmly, perfectly symmetrical, with the brim aligned precisely in the center of the forehead. Gentlemen, stop. You look like a train conductor checking tickets. You look like a nervous schoolboy in a uniform. You have achieved geometric perfection, but you have murdered the style. To wear the baker boy effectively, you must master the Italian concept of sprezzatura. Roughly translated, it means studied carelessness. It is the art of making the difficult look effortless. It is the idea that you look stylish not because you spent hours in front of the mirror, but because it is simply your nature. The enemy of the baker boy is symmetry. Symmetry is static. It is boring. We want dynamism. We want life. Here is the technique. Place the cap on your head. Now, reach up and grab the brim. Slide the entire structure slightly, and I mean slightly, to one side. Usually, you tilt it towards the side of your natural hair parting, or, if you are bald, towards your good side. We are talking about a variance of perhaps 15 degrees. It should be barely perceptible, yet deeply felt. Next, pull the brim down just a fraction lower over the eyes. You do not want to obscure your vision, but you want to create a shadow. This shadow masks the crow's feet around the eyes. It forces people to make eye contact with you to see your expression. It creates an aura of privacy and intent. By tilting the cap, you disrupt the visual order. You create a diagonal line across the forehead that breaks up the roundness of the face. One ear is slightly more exposed than the other. This asymmetry suggests a man who is relaxed, a man who is playful, a man who does not follow rules blindly. It is rakish. A note on the snap. Most Baker Boy caps come with a press stud fastening the brim to the crown. Keep it fastened. Unsnapping it creates a ballooning, exaggerated silhouette that looks like a 1920s newspaper delivery boy screaming on a corner. We are aiming for the landowner, not the paper boy. Keep the structure contained. And finally, the cardinal sin. Under no circumstances, regardless of how cool you feel or how windy it is, should you ever wear the cap backwards. This is the domain of nu metal bands from the late 90s and Samuel L. Jackson. On a man over 50, it signals a desperate midlife crisis. It exposes the entire forehead and neck, the very areas we are trying to frame and protect. The Baker Boy is not a beanie. It is not a baseball cap. It is a piece of sculpture. When you tilt it, you bring the sculpture to life. You are telling the world, I am wearing this hat. This hat is not wearing me. Chapter 5. The Uniform. How to Style. We arrive now at the final assembly. You have the right cap, the right fabric, the right fit, and the perfect tilt. But if you pair this masterpiece with the wrong clothing, the entire structure collapses. The Baker Boy is a dominant accessory. It demands a supporting cast of equal strength. First, let us address the elephant in the room. We must talk about the Peaky Blinders trap. A man over 50 walking down a modern street in a full three-piece tweed suit, a stiff penny collar shirt, a pocket watch chain, and a Baker Boy cap does not look stylish. He looks like he is going to a Halloween party. He looks like an extra on a film set. This is cosplay, not style. The secret to wearing this cap without looking like a caricature is to avoid the full period look. Do not dress like you were living in 1920s Birmingham. Instead, use the principle of high-low context. Here are the 3 immutable uniforms for the modern gentleman. 1. The landowner, countryside aesthetic. This is the natural habitat of the Baker Boy. Pair a green or brown Harris tweed cap with a waxed cotton field jacket, like a barber. Underneath, wear a chunky cable-knit sweater in cream or navy. Trousers should be heavy corduroy or moleskin. The textures here, wax, wool, corduroy, all speak the same language. They are rugged, matte, and historical. It says, I have just returned from a walk, not, I tried too hard. 2. The urban architect, city aesthetic. Can you wear this in the metropolis? Absolutely, but you must sharpen the edges. Swap the earth tones for a gray or midnight navy herringbone cap. Pair it with a long, structured wool overcoat or a sharp navy peacoat. Underneath, forego the collared shirt for a black or charcoal roll neck, turtleneck. This cleans up the neckline and removes the farmer connotation, replacing it with an air of sophisticated design. You look like a professor, an architect, or a director. 3. The creative, casual aesthetic. For the weekend, move towards workwear. Pair a textured gray cap with a heavy canvas chore coat or a vintage leather bomber jacket. Wear dark, stiff, selvage denim jeans and sturdy leather boots. This balances the old-world charm of the hat with the utilitarian grit of American workwear. The visual weight rule. This is the most critical technical rule of this chapter. The baker boy adds significant volume to your head. Therefore, you must add volume to your body to support it. Never wear a baker boy with just a t-shirt. Never wear it with a light summer shirt. Why? Because the hat will look massive and your shoulders will look narrow. You will look top-heavy, like a lollipop. You need a collar, a scarf, a lapel, or a heavy fabric on your shoulders to visually support the weight of the cap. The absolute prohibitions. There are lines we do not cross. Never wear this cap with shorts. The contrast between a winter hat and bare legs is visually grotesque. Never wear it with sandals. Never wear it with a graphic t-shirt or a hoodie. And finally, never wear it indoors. A gentleman removes his hat when he crosses the threshold. To keep it on suggests insecurity, as if you are afraid to show what lies beneath. The baker boy is the punctuation mark of your outfit. Make sure the sentence you are writing is worth reading. Gentlemen, the transition from a baseball cap to a baker boy is not just a change of fabric. It is a change of mindset. You are trading the uniform of a boy for the crown of a man. When you look in the mirror, you should not see someone trying to cling to their 20s. You should see someone who has mastered their 50s. This cap frames your experience. It adds height to your stature and depth to your character. The baseball cap says, "I am hiding." The baker boy says, "I have arrived." So, go to your wardrobe. Take that faded logo-stamped piece of cotton and retire it. Invest in tweed. Learn the tilt. Own the silhouette. Because at this stage in your life, you are not dressing for a trend. You are dressing for your legacy. The architecture is waiting.